There are lots of people watching on YouTube. Can you hear Pavel right now? Pavel, say something, please.
I hope everyone can hear me. I bought a new microphone, for goodness sake. That's not fair.
Okay. Um, please leave a comment if you can hear Pavel. And yeah, we're ready to move forward. Yeah. Thank you, Karen. Finally. Okay, this was an error on my side. I forgot to to switch the device for Pavel. Sorry.
I mean, every week we have a different set of problems to overcome. So,
Well, we're tweaking the settings bit by bit to make it better. But yeah, in making better, we always make more mistakes, like good programmers we are. Okay, thanks everybody for all of your comments, and as we discussed earlier, I'm not sure if we need to repeat this, because I will cut away. I will probably cut away the first couple of minutes, but yeah. Okay, I see. Karen Brown writes, please begin again. Okay, we can do this. Can we do this, Pavel?
Yeah.
Okay. So, begin again. As we discussed, as we talked a bit earlier, we spent a lot of time together in these past 3 weeks while I've been visiting Russia, and my wife and I, we had a vacation, and that was a good reason for us, for Pavel and I, to meet up a lot of times and visit a lot of museums, bookish places, talk to bookish people. We went to St. Petersburg almost together, sort of together. On different trains, but we spent a lot of time there together as well. Ate a lot of wonderful food, and that's something we wanted to discuss today. Not the food probably, but all the bookish things we saw and experienced, and I will be showing photos and talking quite a lot, and Pavel, I guess, will add some pieces of knowledge to my rambling. So
well, hopefully. So, what's the plan for the stream? We'll start where and where? What's the plan?
Well, I wanted to start with some technical stuff. While there are still people there, maybe we can keep them for a couple more moments and discuss some technical stuff. First thing first, I wanted to ask if anyone is willing to volunteer for our podcast work. There are some things where they're way out of budget for us. We're working now on, for several months already. Well, we're working on French and Spanish versions of our podcast, and we're looking for people who can help us edit the subtitles in French and Spanish to check if everything was recognized by AI correctly, so that we can pass these subtitles forward for translation into English, so that our viewers will be able to experience these other language podcasts. Our English-speaking viewers will be able to experience this podcast as well, because in our first French podcast, we've been talking to, Anna Markova, our French host, was talking to Julie Ozion, a French Parisian bookbinder. Very interesting bookbinder and very interesting person. It was a great talk. And our first Spanish guest was Josep Cambras, bookbinder, bookbinding teacher, author of books about bookbinding from Barcelona. And a lot of work is done already, and the last obstacle on the way to publishing these videos is to translate the subtitles into English. So if anyone is able to offer us any help, that would be grateful. And unfortunately, paying for this work is currently out of budget for us, like absolutely out of budget. I don't even know how we will pay for the translation of subtitles, but okay, we'll see how it goes. And yeah. The second thing I wanted to say is that there was a bit of a gap in publishing of episodes of our English podcast on our YouTube channel because, well, it's vacation season, so I decided to take a bit of a break for a couple of weeks, but I think we're returning next week. And that's it with the technical stuff, and let's show people some pictures, I guess. Yeah. And by the way, if anyone has any questions, please ask them in the comments, and we'll try to keep up with everything and to answer your questions, or at least tell you that we don't know an answer right away, and that we will, consult with some people who know better. So that's how we plan to proceed today. So moving on to some pictures we prepared for you. Pavel, you can talk for a moment because I need to switch the stuff.
Okay, so now we're gonna switch to the meeting with bookbinders.
No, I think we'll start with some stuff from a previous podcast, just to rehash the stuff we saw in Russia, and then we will move forward pretty fast to the next part.
So we visited a few museums in Moscow and many more museums in St. Petersburg and around St. Petersburg. Just to remind you, we went to one of the first capitals of Russia, even before Russia, capital of Rus. We went to Staraya Ladoga. We saw a couple of museums there. In Moscow, we started with this wonderful object. We talked quite a bit about it. It was a sample book filled with bee products, mostly
beeswax and bee
beeswax and related products. Not all of it is beeswax. I think we saw it in an exhibition devoted to the role of insects in early Soviet art and how it intersected with what actually went on in entomology of the period. Mm-hmm. We still waiting for the answers on where this particular thing comes from, because not even curators of the exhibitions know.
Yep.
But it is an exciting object. So if everyone has seen anything like it, not necessarily from Russia, we would very much be grateful to hear about it.
Yeah. And what I wanted to add, firstly, we already talked about this stuff, so we will pass through a couple of photos pretty fast. But if you want to see more, to hear more, just go to our YouTube channel or Facebook page, and there is the video of our third live stream, and you will experienced it in its all glory and full glory. And but I wanted to mention that this is you can truly call this a book, because there are pages, there is cover, there is a box inside, but even that, the box is, as you can probably see here, is shaped to have a rounded spine and rounded edge. So I was pretty amazed by this object. Next, we talked about some futurists and their art and their books, and this is also something that Pavel spent quite a lot of time describing and talking about, and it was a theme that followed us from St. Petersburg to Moscow, and in between in different museums, and happened this way, that everywhere there are futurists now in some permanent and temporary exhibitions. So
Yeah, actually, I remembered one story from St. Petersburg. I don't think I mentioned it last time. When I went to another museum, to the St. Petersburg Avant-Garde Museum, devoted to the school of Filonov and Malevich and their long-standing influence in St. Petersburg, there I was presented by a very, very old museum guide to a set of futurist books, which were like here under glass, with all of them facing the viewer, save for one that was rotated almost 180 degrees. And he came really close to me and said, "You know, it moves on its own. Nobody knows why, but I know." So I was a bit shocked. I mean, cultural capital of Russia, you expect somewhat more. So when I was exiting the museum, I told a lady there that an old man upstairs was carrying me with possessed books. And she says, "Oh, don't worry. Those are not malevolent spirits." So you see the spirits of futurism all around us. I even had a contact with one of them.
Yeah. So next group of objects we have experienced in St. Petersburg were different porcelain objects depicting books. Well, the exhibition is dedicated to early Soviet porcelain objects, but some of them are bookish in different ways, like this pencil holder. You can't see. Okay, sorry, you can't see because our heads are covering it. So how do I zoom in? Yeah, okay, let's do it this way. So there is a pencil holder on the right, and you can see a girl. Was it Uzbekistan? I think it was Uzbek people discussing the new Stalin constitution, and there is a girl on the right who is reading a book, and well, I couldn't pass the subject, so obviously I made some photos, and there are other things like this plate with text "Знание рвет цепи рабства." Knowledge is breaking the chains of slavery, and yeah, we discussed this quite a lot. And then there was this beautiful bookish book sculpture, and as I said before, I'm usually not a fan of book sculpture made of demolished books or ruined books, but this one somehow connected with me, and I liked it quite a lot. And Pavel, do you want to add something? Or Pavel? Now I can't hear you. Pavel? What's happening?
Yeah.
And now we can hear you again.
Yeah. This reminded me of a discussion we had a bit later in the trip. We're going to discuss it towards the end of our podcast. We talked to a librarian who collects libra d'artistes, so artist books, and much of this discussion was about the difference about what an artist's book and book arts is, and this is a typical book art in his definition. When you take a book and use it as a part of your art, but to me it's so much more, because as we discussed, all those books are related to the overall style and message and content of the piece. It's not just any book.
And context as well.
Yeah. Those are all German 19th century books by Romantic writers, and over them are painted copies of 19th century German Romantic painters' works, which is why it works for me. I love this piece a lot. Yeah.
And yeah, the last one to remember and to remind you of is this piece from Printing House exhibition in St. Petersburg, and once again I posted some photos on Instagram and on Facebook, everywhere, and we discussed it during our live. So if you haven't seen the previous live, please go and check it after we finish with this one, I guess. And finally, now we will show you some new content and some new photos and videos and a lot of stuff, and I really hope you will like it. And Pavel, please talk a bit more, and I will switch the photos.
Okay, so now we are moving onto the next part of towards the Pushkin Museum.
Yeah, you are skipping parts all the way. You wanted to move to
no, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know which part we are switching to, which is why I'm asking you.
They are sort of numbered, and you want to move on to Bookbinders meetup before, but now it seems that you want to something different. Okay, let's talk about this. This happened without Pavel because Pavel was busy, and I had a meeting with some of bookbinders in Moscow, with 3 bookbinders to be precise, and it was a nice meetup, and we talked about different stuff about, I don't know, about state of bookbinding in Russia, about competitions, and about other things as well, and yeah, why Pavel, please help me for a moment. I forgot to add one more photo. Just talk for a moment, Pavel. when you are needed, you stop talking.
God, it never ends. While also in St. Petersburg, we met with Katya Savelyeva, who was one of our first guests. Certainly, it was the first guest I interviewed with Stepan. A year and a half, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
3 seasons ago. Yeah. Katya is a Mabla who is from St. Petersburg, but largely works and is soon moving to Finland. She works in the Turkish tradition, what's known as Erbu. And
Ebru?
Ebru, yeah,
Ebru?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and she brought a great collection of her works. It was really nice to browse through them. They are rather varied. Some of them are just patterns, like a wave or lots of cells, what you'd expect. But there were also some flowers, some figural compositions. I highly recommend her work. It was really nice to see it in person after a year and a half. I remember that feeling when we first interviewed her, when she made a paper live in front of the camera, and we were both like, "Ooh, this is magic! How did you do that?" And so it was nice to see the finished product.
Yeah.
So tell us who are your friends?
So yeah, from I guess from left to right, it's Anna Luskina, who is known, I guess, under the name Anka Bindery on Instagram, and then it's Maria Ruzaykina, then Alexander Treit, and yours truly. These people are bookbinders and book restorers, and we had a really nice discussion and talked about lots of bookish stuff, and the tradition of bookbinding in Russia, how it was lost for a bit during the Soviet times, and became quite utilitarian, I guess, almost without any book art and fine binding. And this is, by the way, something we also discussed with Valery Ledenyov during our visits of the Garage Art Gallery, and something Pavel already mentioned. So you will hear more about it in one of our future podcasts. But yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to these people, and I really hope to see them again next time I'm in Moscow. And I wanted to show some of the photos of their work they shared and they sent me to share. So let's some books from Alexander Treit. He shared this photo on his Instagram with a comment that usually all the works when they are finished move away to the customers, to clients right away, but there was some strange moment when some work accumulated, and he just couldn't miss the opportunity to make a nice photo of them. And this is a work of Anna Luskina, Anka Bindery, and people who read Russian can understand that this is Jules Verne.
I have to say it's not easy. I can read the name
Yeah.
of the author, but it took me a bit to read the name of the book, and I started with that, and that's a fascinating font. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and so it's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or how it's called in English. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's back translation, not the best thing to do, but well. The book about Captain Nemo and other things.
You translated it the right way, yeah.
Okay,
It's 20,000
perfect.
Leagues Underwater, yeah.
And I also really like this one, which is this trapezoid shaped book, and here is Maria Uzaikina and one of her works. And some more bindings, and in the middle of a working process, something else. So yeah, nice, fine bookbinders, really nice people. It was a great pleasure to talk to them, and it was really funny because we drank some beer, we talked a bit, and then we decided to. Maria had to go home, and we walked her home, and then separated and went to the next road crossing and stood there for like 20 minutes discussing even more bookbinding, printing, and I don't know, fixing bookish machinery in Russia and issues related to that. And then Maria comes out, and so we continued talking and discussing bookish stuff for some more time. Yeah, and now I need to switch back.
It's also funny that it's called the first sea travel of the Russians, where it's actually about the travel of Vitus Bering, who was on Russian service at the time, but who's actually Danish. So Bering Sea, Bering Strait, one of the proud moments of Russian history, totally Danish, yeah. Okay. Oh, this is a great place.
Yeah,
I like this.
Something else I wanted to share. Well, when we returned to Moscow, besides meeting some bookbinders, we had a lot of nice time and visited some places, and this is what we found during our one of the evenings. This is an entrance to one of the bars in central Moscow, and I just couldn't go away without making some photos. Very bookish entrance to a bar, and well.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it was also one of the last moments that I remember of the evening.
I wanted to say that even when we went bar hopping, we went to bars where there is some bookish or calligraphy stuff there, so you can't miss anything like that when you are us, I guess. Okay, so who is the artist of the book installation? That's a comment on YouTube from Karen Brown. Pavel, do you remember the name of the artist with this book installation with books and paintings? Karen, please give us a moment. Pavel will reply.
I'm pretty sure it's Nikolai Ovchinnikov, but I may be wrong. I'll post to the comments.
Okay, Pavel will research. And good morning from Washington D.C. I see. Okay, good morning to you. It's not yet evening. Well, it's evening. Yeah, it's evening here already, or not? In France, evening starts at 6, I guess. In Russia, at 5. So it's evening for Pavel, not evening for me. Yeah, this was a short one, and let's move forward with some more pictures. And this is when we return to Pushkin. How is it called in English? Pushkin Art Gallery?
No, Moscow Art Museum, Pushkin Art Museum. Yeah,
Moscow
Pushkin Art Museum, yeah.
Okay, so we already talked about this exhibition during our previous stream, I guess, and but there were some things I wanted to not really reiterate, but maybe show from a bit different angle than what Pavel captured. And Pavel went to this exhibition weeks ago, and obviously when I was in Moscow, I also visited this exhibition. It's an exhibition of objects from Italian city-state of Siena. There were some book covers, special book covers exhibited there, and some book objects, but not only that, there were some religious objects as well, like this one, and I've spent, I think, 10 minutes just looking to the smallest details, because you can also see books in this piece of art. So this is something that really fascinates me, and I always like to spend more time with that. What's happening? Yeah, and that's something I wanted to show, because when Pavel showed us photos last time, you couldn't really see the real size of the objects, and here are two visitors of the exhibition looking at one of the books exhibited there, and well, that's a pretty large book. And if you want to know a bit more about these books, you can either, I guess, search Google Tavaleti di Bikerna, Tavaleti di Bikerna, or you can watch our previous live stream, our second live stream. And we discussed them quite a lot there, and Pavel showed a lot of photos and all that stuff. And yeah. I just wanted to add some more details and show some smaller. You can see these small flowers stamped on the wooden boards. I was quite impressed with all these fine details, and I just like the small flowers.
It's also curious if you'd catch any close-ups of the altar that you showed in the beginning, that all the same tools are used there in the halos.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like a specialized trade painting those book covers. Those were the very same artists, and they were the top artists of the city of the period painting these covers. These are very, very impressive. I like them a lot.
So did you have a chance to find the name of the artist, or not yet?
Yes, I posted the label into the chat. So it's Nikolai Ovchinnikov. I was right about that.
Okay.
You can find the name and the year there.
Okay, I don't see the comment yet, but yeah, I guess it
on
will.
on YouTube, but I
Yeah.
guess it can be posted. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's delayed by a bit, but
Yeah.
anyway. And here is some. This is the same large book you've seen in the photo just before, and it gives an idea of how these book covers of Siena were looked like. And,
So this is a reconstruction, unless, and there was a real book too. Did you get that?
yeah, I guess it should be. Yeah, this is the one.
And again, it's something like 40 centimeters tall, maybe a bit more. It's a decently sized book, and in wonderful condition too.
Yeah, and that's it with this part of the exhibition. But I wanted to share something else, and I don't see your comment yet. Are you banned on YouTube?
Probably. Well, we'll work around that later.
Okay, so if you ever come over to Moscow, even if there is no exhibition of Tavalici Dibikerna in Pushkin Art Gallery, there are lots of other things to see there, and also lots of bookish things as well. And there are exhibitions of Greek how do you call it in English? Sumerian?
Sumerian, yeah.
Sumerian and Egyptian art there, and I just captured some of the objects I saw there. So, well, I guess you can call most of them bookish objects. So it's pretty fitting for our channel, for our stream. And here are some cuneiform tablets and stones and all the other stuff. I love these stone pieces. They're so, I don't know, they're so beautiful.
And I also like them that they are currently fulfilling the function that they were created for. They were meant to last, and they were meant to preserve the history of the people and their stories. And this is how we use them. Many of them were buried under the buildings, mostly temples and the like. And when they were dug out by this is from late 19th century in terms of acquisition and archaeology. So by then they couldn't use like thousands of people or what were Schliemann's digs like. They could only use, say, 100 or 200. So they knew where to look for. The object on the right was found during a very targeted excavation. Like they found a bit of the building, they calculated where the corner will be, and they dug under the corner and they found a small library, because that's where those, well, it's not a library, it's like a time capsule. We still do that, right? Like in a park a kilometer away from me, there is a stela which was funded by pioneers, by which I mean like young communists from Russia, communist teenagers. And there is a time capsule about to be opened in like a year or two.
Like Soviet scouts.
Yeah. So
Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts.
yeah, Soviet Boy Scouts sending messages to the future. Well, we'll see what they are. And these particular messages are still with us, and they're so beautiful. The stone used is also textured. It's nice to look at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
And well, some bricks as well. also with a lot of text on them. And this is also in the Sumerian room. Pavel tells me that I'm blanking.
It's an Egyptian.
Papyri.
It's an Egyptian papyrus. It's called the Moscow Mathematical Papyrus. It's the one thing I remember from my very first visit to this museum was when I was like 4 or 5 years old. Already by that time, I was reading books like A Young Mathematician, and there were in Soviet books like that there were always reproductions of this particular papyrus. It's only a part of it. As a whole, it's like 5.5 meters long, and it contains a few dozen mathematical problems, which were hundreds, if not thousands, of years ahead of their time. They had three-dimensional stereometric tasks like finding the surface of a curvilinear bowl or finding volume. Pythagoras theorem too, of course, but many more advanced stuff. So I don't really know why it is in Sumerian part of the museum. It's certainly Egyptian, a very famous object.
And this is just how this room looks like, and well, pretty stunning.
Okay.
Well, even while most of the objects there are copies or something like a gypsum copies, I think. Yeah. It's still pretty impressive when
they are in themselves artifacts of their time because they were made over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Many, if not most of them, were made as copies of the originals. Like there were special people were sent from Moscow to the Louvre, to Oxford, to London, to New York, to Prada in Madrid to make copies of the very best artifacts of the time. And, it's a stunning room. It would be better if it was original, but well.
And this is something that there was this huge, not huge, but yeah, I don't know, column, this stand with lots and lots of small objects, and I don't remember from my childhood visits to the museum, but they're absolutely fascinating. There are cylindrical stamps that you can use. What?
They're called seals.
Seals, yeah, seals. Yeah, I forgot the word. Cylindrical and round seals, and they produce these amazing images when you use them on clay or other pliable materials, and well, it's printing as well. So, and some of them are just absolutely amazing. And then there is Egypt as well, and some objects from Egypt. Obviously,
this is all real, by the way. Unlike the previous part where everything big is a copy, here everything is original. This is from the great collection by a Russian Egyptologist Glenishev, who collected something like 6,000 Egyptian objects and sold it to the Russian government in 1912. So just
in time.
Yeah. Good for him. In other words.
So let's switch again to something else, and then we finally. Oh, this I went alone. Another place where I went alone without Pavel. We spent so much time in St. Petersburg, so that we decided to split up in Moscow after we had some drinks, I guess. So on one of the days, I went to a flea market because, well, I don't think it's reasonable to talk over the ambient noise, but the video will end in a moment. So anyway, a pretty small flea market in central Moscow, on the courtyard of the Museum of Moscow, by the way. But the organizers make flea markets in other places as well. Not my favorite flea market. Still, my favorite flea market is at iHallen in Amsterdam. The huge market in the old wharf territory. How do you say it? Wharf in English.
Wharf, yeah.
Wharf territories. Yeah, which were repurposed for different needs and things. Maybe you've seen news recently from Amsterdam that they've erected or placed the first 3D printed steel bridge on one of the canals in the central Amsterdam, and this bridge was 3D printed in this iHallen in this wharf location. And there is a flea market there as well. But well, still, if I see an option, an opportunity to visit a flea market, of course I go there. And sometimes you can find some interesting objects in places like that. And one of the stalls I saw there was this stall from a printing house that makes only miniature books here in Moscow. They operate for almost 30 years now, and you can probably see the URL on the top part of this picture, yaniko.ru, or you can search for Yaniko mini book on Instagram and check their work. That's an interesting project. I love such dedicated projects and specialized publishing houses. Some of the books look quite nice, and the multitude of them just impresses you.
And what kind of prices are we talking about?
They are not super well. They have different editions. They have simpler editions, and they have hand-bound with leather and special expensive editions as well. But there is a wide range of prices. I don't remember the exact prices right now, but it's from the pretty cheap books, not cheap, but not expensive books, to quite expensive objects. And and that's another meeting. It appears that on the same flea market, my two of my cousins were working and selling stuff, and doing all sorts of tricks. And this is just funny how it happens in life. All of us had different sorts of education, and ended up doing some bizarre things like bookbinding or selling, stuff on flea markets, and making, I guess, nice money from that, and searching for old books. Or my the middle brother you can see on the right in glasses, he's making some photographs with ancient photo cameras, and he's an amazing artist on his own. So
I also remember a great project of his of having a small museum in a case.
Yeah.
You can take to kids all over. Yeah.
So somehow we all do not do what we were studying to do, but I guess we were having fun, and that's great. And one of the objects I found on this flea market, and I wanted to share, and that's the reason I continue to visit even flea markets that are small or not really good, in my opinion, because sometimes that happens as well. But sometimes you can find really strange and relatable objects, and I guess most of our viewers can't read what's written there, but it's Okay, I'm losing my mind. I don't know how to translate
Okay,
Maevsky.
that's a different. I know that it translates like boyar. What it means
What it
is
means, yeah.
Tsarist Romania and what an essay on white terror in Romania over the last 10 years, which would be 1910s and 1920s.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, as I'm part Romanian, I was quite happy to see an object like that, and I browsed the web right away to find at least some information about this book, and I saw a mention of this article somewhere, but nothing more. No prices, nobody trying to sell it, no information at all. So I don't know. Is it a rare book? Maybe, maybe not. Is it an interesting book? To me, this book is interesting because it relates to one of my countries of origin, so it may be important to me. And well, yeah, there are some interesting topics there just to read about history and from a very specific perspective, of course, of you know of people from the young communist Russia and Soviet Union, and yeah. As far as I understand, some of the words in the dictionary you can see on the left now are not spelled correctly or something. I saw there is, I love that they try to transliterate the Romanian words, and it's written Bucharest there, and they forgot the understroke under S. And in Russian they wrote not Bucharest with soft end, but Bucuresti, which is the traditional way for Russians to spell Romanian names and words, which maddens me quite a bit all the time because it's wrong. So
It's also interesting who published it. Did you notice? International Organization for the Help of Fighters of Revolutions. English name is much shorter. The common English name is International Red Aid. I really like the name. So they were supposed to be a communist analog of Red Cross, but they only helped the communists, and mostly by sending them propaganda. So you bought some old school communist propaganda. Good for you.
yeah. And I see we have a viewer from Vietnam joining us on YouTube, and yeah, Timothy sent a comment to us. Hi. I guess it's late evening there right now. Glad to see you. And Karen Brown left another comment. So all the rulers on the bottom right, incredible. I guess this is about the Sumerian exhibition, but yeah, almost all objects there are quite impressive and astonishing. So let's move to the last part of today's.
Chief Librarian of
today's, yeah, it was loud right away, but
so I should probably explain who these people are. I mean, apart from us too.
yeah.
So on the left, you see the head librarian of.
Just a moment, everybody. Not yeah. I didn't share the photo right away because there is some glitch with Irfan View. Just give me a moment. You can start talking about Garage Library and Valery Ledenyov.
About a week ago, Valery Ledenyov, who's the head librarian of the Garage Museum Library of Contemporary Art, which is a mouthful, called us and invited us to visit his library and the very special collection that he recently started. So for the last 4 years, he's been commissioning artist books, but specifically from artists who don't do books that often, who are not known for their book work. It's an interesting project trying to, I think, catalog what a book is to a non-specialist in the modern world. So this is one topic that we talked about. He showed us the collection. It was amazing. Some objects there are beyond belief. And another thing he showed us was the collection of specially made books. So not just commissioning books, but also buying books from artists. And we also talked about the role of a library in contemporary art.
Well, we started to talk about it because we want to record a separate, longer podcast with Valery and discuss the role of the library in the modern world, the role of the library in working with contemporary art, all of that stuff. And this is a long talk, so we decided to separate it and this time to talk only about their collection of artist books, and we wanted to show you an excerpt from this long, I think it will be an hour-long video or something like that. It will be only 5 minutes, and we discuss some stuff there, and we also included videos showing some of the artist books we saw during these visits. They are not directly related to the things we are discussing in the video right now, because it's just something I swiftly, edited to show you today, and we'll probably stop in the middle of the conversation to add some more details to the book objects we see, or maybe we will talk about it later. We'll see how it goes, but it's for 5 minutes or so, and then we will probably discuss a bit more about Garage library and Valery and his work and the objects he showed us. So let's start.
Valery Ledenyov, Chief Librarian of Garage Museum.
Chief Librarian Valery Ledenyov. Today we wanted to discuss one of special collections of the library Valery is in charge of, and we're really glad you invited us to review all these books.
Yeah, it was really exciting, and to see them, to touch them. Most of these objects wouldn't be as exciting to look at if they were just photographed or even from videos, so to interact with them.
Just to have an idea maybe how it works or how it looks, because many of the books that are in Garage artist book collection, they're mostly about the content, not so much about the book as an object or about special kind of production, but about how it looks and how you may read this so-called reading. Garage library, well, first, the thing that I normally tell about the library, that's the first public library about contemporary art in Moscow, because, well, of course we have many wonderful art libraries at different museums in Moscow, like, I don't know, Pushkin Museum or Tretyakov Gallery, but they're not publicly accessible, and the idea behind our library was to render it, I don't know, open for everyone.
And that's something we already shared with our viewers.
Yeah.
That we have visited secret library, not really a secret library.
No secrets at Garage.
But yeah, it's just a library that's close to wide audience. So I'd like to return to the main subject of our today's visit, artist books in your library, in the collection of your library. How did this happen? Why did you decide to add artist books to the collection? How does it work? How do you add? How do you choose the books? Everything.
And how do you limit this amorphous notion of artist book? I mean, what's an artist book that you're interested in particular?
I started with the archive, which was the foundation of, which was, I don't know, the starting point of the research activity at Garage. And in the holdings of our archive, there are already artistic publications, artistic books, I don't know, some printed matter. which were already into this collection before we started collecting the artistic books, which was actually initiated, I suppose, in the end of 2017. The idea of our project of artistic book came around that year,
Okay.
Валерий
I
Леденев,
ruined
chief librarian
everything,
of Garage
sorry.
Library. An idea maybe as well. Of course, we have many wonderful. I started with the archive, which was the
Sorry about
foundation
that.
of, which was, I don't know, the starting point of the research activity at Garage. And in the holdings of our archive, there are already artistic publications, artistic books, I don't know, some printed matter, which were already into this collection before we started collecting the artistic books, which was actually initiated, I suppose, in the end of 2017. The idea of our project of artistic book came around that year, so we have, I don't know, some samizdat things, some handmade small books of Dmitry Prigov and other representatives of Moscow Conceptual School, and some other things, of course, too. In this case, I would rather stick to the concept of artist publication, which came from colleagues from Bremen, Museum Weserburg, and they have this Center for Artistic Publications. Artistic publications being everything made by the artist and designed for dissemination, designed to be, I don't know, like printed in some copies. Those may be, I don't know, postcards, some mail art, even tape recordings, and now it goes digital. So we did already have some of this in the archive. And thinking about, I don't know, extending it out, developing the collection, the idea came around that we may start from the other point, from the opposite. Not purchasing what already existed, but inviting the artists to make an artistic book, a kind of publication, something, I don't know, some printed matter, some paperwork, bookwork, if we borrow the term from Clive Philpott, who was the founding director of Library of MoMA and initiated the collection of artistic books at MoMA in New York back in the 70s. Some bookwork. Why not starting doing it specially for Garage? And the project was titled Single Copy, and we announced it in autumn 2017. And first it was just, I don't know, first trial for us in 17. So we decided to invite artists who lived in Moscow, with whom we could easily contact and whom we knew personally.
And yeah, that's it for this short cut from the longer video. We wanted to discuss a bit more these three bookish objects you've seen during this video, but first I wanted to elaborate a bit or add more detail, not to explain Valeri's words, because he explains everything perfectly on his own. We just cut away a lot of stuff, and this short episode when Valery shows us several books on the stands. This was during the first part of our visit to the museum, and these were exactly the objects he described at the end of the video. The objects they ordered, not ordered, but Pavel, you have some. Yeah, now you have some. Commissioned. Thank you very much. Commissioned to some artists to make, and they commission 3 artist books per year, and they exhibit them in their library, and that's what it was. But then we went to the archives, and Valery showed us lots and lots of different books, among which we selected 3 to show you today. One of them is a 6-meter long book. Another is a porcelain book or clay book, And the third one is a book that weighs 60 kilograms or something
Yeah,
like that.
plus 40 kilograms of a box.
Yeah.
So,
And
100 kilos.
yeah, I guess I will try to switch to a different viewer to show you the parts of this video. Please give me a moment. Pavel will entertain you for a bit, and I will deal with technical issues.
What I really liked about the talk, apart from him being so succinct and so knowledgeable, is how whenever I tried to ask him for any criteria that he uses for choosing the books or organizing the project overall, he honestly tells, "Well, I've got time, I've got money." Meaning budget. So I buy what I like from people I like, which is how I think you should do things. And it is a great collection. Yeah.
Okay, and now we're switching to the same. Pavel, do you see me switching,
Yes,
browsing
I
through the
do.
video? Yeah,
I
okay.
do, but
Perfect.
I can't. Yeah. So they don't have a dedicated space to show their books yet, at least, because the collection is growing. But they have like three books on display at the moment.
Well, the 3 books they commissioned this year, they have exhibited in these small displays every year, I guess.
Yeah, and I understand the 60 kilo one that we saw, that I trolled through the library. That was lots of fun. So this one is the most recent one, and they don't yet know how to show it.
What to do with it?
Yeah, like how do you show it without hurting the people, because you can easily break your leg with that book, and without damaging the book itself, because you can't really let everyone to turn the pages, because it seems thick and stable, but it's still cardboard. So, but then without interacting with this book, it's you have to show people interacting with it. So they're thinking about how to display those things. So this one was embroidered. It was a collage that was superimposed with embroidery, and the ceramic one was also
here is the ceramic
yeah,
one.
it's also very interesting in construction, because every single plate has 2 sides, and it has something organic like a leaf or a flower. Here you can see pressed on one side, and then you can see something man-made and unfortunately not as ephemeral pressed on the other side. So you have something that will disappear on its own in a few months, and something that will not disappear even in a few centuries. And then you preserve it with those leaves of fabric inside, which is also kind of ironic. You usually put it over something fragile, over something worth preserving, and here you put it over what I don't even know what that is. Fish fingers, something that was inside it, and now we're throwing it away. So this was a great object. I really liked it.
And once again, I right away I remembered of Mark Cockrum's work and our discussion of porcelain elements of books, and I guess we discussed it with somebody else as well. With who was that? I should remember. Well, okay. Porcelain in books. This is something to to think about. And then there was this book.
Oh, this was fun. This was yeah. It gets longer and longer and longer, and you can see a girl's hair, like 2 meters of it, and then some animals attacking Russian police, and and other modern fairy tales. Very psychotic.
Yeah, and the next one is, guess, almost here. Just give us, yeah. Here is the largest book we saw during this visit, and this is a book about whales.
Yes, this is supposed to be a classification of whales, and every page has the number of whales depicted on it. And it has a few dozens on every page, and it has clamps just to secure it inside, so you can't just open it. You need to do all sort of mechanical operations.
And Pavel had to hold his book with this chain for us to browse through it. And
Most importantly, it has a light source in
yeah,
it.
I just loved the fact that it has a light source on it. And I guess some space used by the battery or something. I don't know, but you don't need a large of a battery for a small light like that. But anyway, so this is almost it. We wanted to discuss one piece of news with you, which is also related to one of our previous streams, and to ancient Russian manuscripts and all that stuff. And once again, if you have any questions, we'd be glad to hear them, maybe to reply right away or next time. We reserve this right to take some time for preparation if we can't answer your question right away. But yeah, do you want to see some bookish objects I brought with me from Russia? Yeah, I wanted to. I already showed you this book about Romanian oppressive regime, and I also wanted to mention that it's not very easy to take books away from Russia, because everything older than 50 years considered to be antique books, and you need to or vintage. Vintage is over 50 and antique is over 100. Yeah, I guess all the vintage book, for all the vintage books you have to get a permission from the Ministry of Culture to take the objects out of the country, not only for books but pieces of art and all that stuff. They sort of need to decide if it has some value and has to be kept in the country, or it can be moved away, and for as far as I understand, for books older than 100 years old, you just can't take them out of the country, which was one of the topics we discussed during this meetup with bookbinders, because it creates a real trouble for book restorers and conservators in Russia, because for a person from outside of Russia to send an object for restoration or conservation to Russia, it's a whole mess of bureaucratical issues to get permissions for entry, and then to safely take this object out of Russia. And for of course, for small bookbinders, for people who work alone, it's just almost impossible to go through all this bureaucratical mess and get any orders from abroad for repairing and restoring objects which are old, which is pretty upsetting, because there are quite a few good specialists back in Russia who can do some nice work on your book object. And so yeah, you need to get permission if you go to Russia, and if you buy anything older than 50 years, just be prepared that you need to get permission. Well, or you know. So during this visit, I went to some bookstores, and I guess we can switch to large heads now. Sorry, just give me a moment, and I will switch the video, because yeah. This is how it will go until the end of the video. and I will be able to show larger of this. So this is a small brochure, not a very large one, describing the bookbinding art. So it's a short manual, рабочая библиотека, workers library, and the book is from, I don't know when, 1930. So you can take it away from Russia, but you need to get permission for that.
And as usual, it was probably printed in hundreds of thousands.
I think
does it say?
Well, it's where's the camera? It's 10,100 copies. Not as many, but it was 1930s. I guess it wasn't bookbinding wasn't that big.
Well, okay. Can you imagine publishing a book on bookbinding now? In just 10,000 copies.
My favorite Soviet bookbinding manual survived 3 million copies or what? I don't know. Quite a lot.
And from what I remember, it was for schools.
Yeah,
like
for school.
Like every school must have had 10 of those.
What I really liked in this book is these illustrations, which are, I think I saw at least some of them in some other books that were published before the October Revolution, and the style of the illustrations is pretty different from page to page. So it seems that the elements were just taken from different boxes, from different collections to fit the book and to make the illustrative material, to compose the illustrative material for this bookbinding book. But anyway, I really like it, and I always try to look for books like this one. And how do you say книжный набор? Typesetting
basics.
Yeah, basics of typesetting, and well, this is a beautiful book, and yeah.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. And quite good condition for what we have, and just nice, some nice examples.
Oh, so it's multicolored too.
Yeah.
What is it? Also from the 30s?
Yeah, it's from 20s.
27, yeah.
So borderline. And I love the font. I'm not sure that it will be visible. Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, how very arty. Yeah.
And Pavel will understand. I can see it on this letter U, and yeah, it's pretty impressive. Like they used Latin B or something similar, and I can find the short yacht и кратко is made with 2 dots instead of the ligature, which is not very usual for Russian typography.
And I don't think it looks like a book that was meant to be read, more likely browsed, because they found just the quirkiest font they could.
Well, I've seen this font I have already seen this font used in several books about books from this period. So probably it was a tradition for.
It was also the font that was used just before the revolution. I mean, with a few extra letters, and it was usually used for art journals. So the tradition must come from there.
Yeah, probably. And something else I got. This is a book from Anna Markova. You, at least some of you probably, and signed by Anna Markova, by the way. Somebody you probably know from Instagram and maybe from Facebook. Anna is the host of our French version, and at least of the first episode, and we'll see how it goes after that. And she wrote an amazing book about an amazing collection of amazing bindings. So yeah, and you can find you can look up on Instagram. She posts lots and lots of amazing photos and bookish objects there, and she's the person to follow on Instagram if you are interested in books and book history and book arts. And I guess the last two things I'll show you. This is one of my first works. It doesn't want to. Yeah, it was a dictionary of foreign words, and yeah, so it's a Russian language dictionary of words that were taken from different other languages, and I repaired this dictionary. This was one of my first works. I repaired it for my grandfather. Not the some things I would do differently. Nobody should repair hinges like this. You should use some other paper for that. But that's something I know now. I didn't know that then. Some pasted in element that I found in the book. Unfortunately, my grandfather died a couple of years ago, so now this dictionary returned to me. But it's a great memory, both of my early bookbinding career and of our relationship with my grandfather. And the last thing I wanted to show that I took with me from Russia is this amazing round box, which is made. I wanted to say that it's made by one of my students, but I shouldn't, I guess, say that. It's made by an artist and an architect who happened to be a student on several of my bookbinding courses back in 2015 or something like that, and she makes these amazing boxes with embroidery, and I love her work. And by the way, there is a surprise inside. A book with a house. There is a house on the spine. Do you see it? It's a narrow house.
Yes.
Like a Dutch house, something like that. So, yeah. A lot of stuff, a lot of nice memories and fun objects. I have some more, but I just don't want to, bore you with some other stuff. It was a great visit, and we've spent some quality time with Pavel. Finally recorded our first live, not first live, but first in person podcast episode, first in a year and a half, more than a year and a half. This one with Valery Ledenyov. It was the first episode we recorded in person, not separated by hundreds and thousands of kilometers and miles. And this was an interesting experience. We definitely need to change and tweak some things, like with this live stream. But I hope this is not the last opportunity for us to do a recording like this, and to record something while being in the same room, and hopefully without masks and other protection gear. So yeah, thanks to everybody who stayed with us for all this time, and I should say this is a record number of simultaneous viewers on our YouTube channel, and I think on Facebook as well. 10 people together. That's so wonderful. Thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate this a lot. Please consider becoming our patrons on Patreon, because we use the money coming from our patrons to edit the videos and Well, this is why we can make more and more episodes of our podcast, and without this money, we just well, I just would have to pay it from out of my pocket, which is not possible at the moment. And thanks a lot for your support and for your help, and yeah, please return to us when we are making our next live stream. We'll return to publishing podcasts and shorter videos next week, or maybe this week. And I don't know what will when I'll have time to make the final edits and all that stuff. And thanks a lot. See you next time. We'll stay a bit more here just to be sure that we're not cut away, because there's a delay on Facebook and YouTube, so we need to babble on for a minute.
Okay, then I'll ask you, do you know what Anna Markova's book is about?
Do you mean the General Yermolov's collection?
Yeah. What's the story there? It's an interesting story. The guy owned lots of books, loved them so much that he decided how to learn how to bookbind. So a general, one of the top generals of the country, and then he hired a few bookbinders, and with them designed bindings for his own library, which largely survive to this day. I think we should talk to Anna about it.
Okay, we have one more question from Karen Brown. What is the name of the Garage Book Museum and their Instagram name? I'm not sure about Instagram. Pavel, if you can check it right now, please do that. But it's not a book museum. It's art gallery in the center of Moscow. But they have a library and educational center where these artist books are exhibited and where they are collected. And
well, if you search for Garage Museum Library, you'll find their website where all these books are photographed, and where the whole of their archive of related to Russian contemporary art since the 80s is digitized. It's also almost fully available in English, so there will be no problem using the site.
Yeah, they are pretty inclusive in also many ways. This art gallery, the Garage, is pretty advanced, and they try to reach out to people in different countries, so they have lots of stuff in English as well. And yeah,
I think we'll post all the links, because I'm looking at the feed right now, and none of the links I posted during it have registered in any way. So we'll post it in the comments, I guess.
We'll post it in the description of the video. Yeah. So you can return just a bit later, and you will see the links to the places we mentioned and you asked about, and yeah, that's it. And from Antiquar, from Washington, D.C., thank you, very interesting. I subscribe to your podcast. Thank you. And to everybody else, subscribe to our podcast as well. Lloyd Dickerson, thank you as well for watching and for staying with us. And I guess I will end the live video right now, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.
Bye.
Just stay for a bit more. Let's stay for